Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. This is an important video. I think a lot of my subscribers need to watch. I think some of you know about what I'm going to say today, and I think there's a lot of you that are extremely ignorant to what I'm about to talk about. And I'll try to talk about this a little bit more in some Google Hangouts as well. It's on the G Podcast a little bit and some other times. But for those of you who don't know, here's a newsflash. Slavery in the United States of America has never ended. It never ended. It was never abolished, and it was never ended. Now, if we're talking about the transatlantic slave trade, where people were stolen from other countries and brought over here, or when African kings sold their people and brought them over here, then yes, that has been abolished. But I'm talking about the slavery in general. That has never ended here in the United States. People are still working for free. How do I know this? Let's use a few examples of what we see going on here and talk about what slavery is. Number one, let's define what slavery is before we go any further, okay? Slavery is pretty much like this. Whatever you obey will become your master. Oh, that's a broad way of looking at slavery. Not a broad way, it's just the truth. If you obey something, it becomes your master. You can be a slave to sin. You can be a slave to a philosophy. You can be a slave to an idolatry. To an ideology. And if you can't walk away from it under your own free will, then you are a slave. If you can't walk away because the vice has got such a grip on you, then you are a servant of that thing. You are a slave. Okay? So, what are we slaves to today? Well, number one, we're slaves to the system that we have here in the United States. If you collect a Social Security check, if you get a welfare check, if you get anything like that, then for the most part, you are a slave to the U.S. government. And if you don't do what the United States government tells you to do, you will no longer receive your Social Security check, nor will you receive a food stamp check. And you won't get any insurance either. Oh, I'm free. I can tell the government I don't need it. Yeah. You're free. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And how are you going to pay for all your food? How are you going to pay your rent? How are you going to pay for, I'll get a job. You told the government that you couldn't work. So who's your Lord and Master now? So anyway, moving on with that conversation. All right. A lot of people are in bondage to the United States government. When one of us are walking down the street, whether you be African American, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, Caucasian, whatever, you're walking down the street, you got a cop blurting a light in your eyes, and they accuse you of doing something that you probably didn't do. That counts as a record against that particular ethnic group. And then they start saying things like in the FBI, oh, black people commit more crimes than anybody else. And this group of people commit this particular crime than anybody else because they got to meet some quota. And then when they lock you up and put you in these prisons, which they're making money off you when you're in that prison, please understand that they have invested interest with you going to jail and serving them and doing community service when you work for free. Even though you didn't do that thing they're accusing you of doing, you got to work for the government for free because they're too broke to hire anybody else to rake those leaves and destroy those government documents. Or whatever it is they want you to do with your community service. What about debt slaves? You got people out there that are slaves to their credit cards. They go out there and they buy a house because they got good credit. And they was able to borrow money from the bank, not realizing that the person who was lent money is slave to the lender. Because now you got to work and bust your butt to pay that person back in order for you to keep that house that you think is yours, which is really theirs. If you only pay off your house, it ain't your house. It's the bank's house. And the sooner we understand this, the better. Okay, that's why it's my opinion. If you're going to buy a house with your own money. Don't borrow money from the bank. And yes, we will have less people owning houses if it depended on them having their own money. Because, we Americans, we don't know how to save our money, but I'm ranting right now. But the point of the matter is slavery in this country has never ended. It has never, ever ended. It just takes on different shapes and shapes and forms and sizes. And a lot of you who are new to my channel don't know this, but the atheist community and myself goes back and forth on this topic a lot. Now I'm talking to my new subscribers. I've been quoted on YouTube, and I still stand by what I said, that I don't believe that there's anything wrong with a human being owning another human being in of itself. In other words, let's say you own me. You don't tell me to do anything, but you own me. It becomes a moral issue when we begin to talk about what you're going to have me do. Okay, that kind of slavery, is nothing wrong with that if a person just owns you. The first time they start telling you to do all these immoral acts, all these immoral acts, that's when it becomes an issue. So the debate regarding being a debt slave, community service, and the other things that I'm talking about has to do with what they're asking you to do in order for you to receive these benefits. And you are serving them. Don't get it wrong. They're not doing this out of the kindness and the goodness of their heart. You are serving them. Every single time you receive one of those checks, every time you go out there and you rake those leaves, every time you just sit in that, you're serving these people. You're serving their interests. And I don't have enough time in this video because of where I'm at right now to go into the details about it. So I am kind of just glossing over some of these topics, but I will be talking about this a little bit on the G podcast today. But the point of the matter is that if you're walking around in the United States of America believing that slavery is over, there's something wrong with you. You need to go get your head examined. Slavery is alive and well here in the United States. And this has been around for a while. Like even after they abolished the so-called slavery that went on here in the United States, what did they do? I mean, the South needed people to work, and the South had to be rebuilt. So what did they do? They started locking us up for no apparent reason whatsoever. A lot of us couldn't read, a lot of us couldn't write, a lot of us couldn't fend for ourselves. And they will lock us up, and they'll have us right back on the plantation for a certain amount of hours and even a certain amount of years, months or years, doing free labor for them again. Only this time, it was done under the guise because you broke the law. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. How some of these businesses are trying to make all this money without really investing anything. They want everything for free. You know, again, I'll talk about this from a biblical perspective when I'm home in front of my Bible when I'm getting ready to do the G podcast. But just in a very practical way, if you believe that slavery doesn't exist in the United States, there's something wrong with you. You need to go get educated. Because this stuff is alive and well here in the United States, and they want your freedom. And every single year, we elect a new president. More and more and more of our freedoms are disappearing here in the United States. And you have less and less freedom than you had last year. And like I said, the only people that don't believe this is true are the people who believe, oh, I voted for this person. We're getting change in the United States. Yeah, you're getting change. Yeah, sure, All your freedoms are going to be gone. That's what's going to happen. That's going to be the change. The only time we're ever going to get any real change in here regarding slavery or anything like that is when we, number one, accept the fact that it exists. And then number two, get off our own butts and do something about it. Okay? If you disagree with me, make a video response. Let me know you made the video response. That's a great concept, right? Actually letting me know that you made a video response and not getting mad at me because I didn't respond back to you. If you disagree with me that slavery does not exist today, I will gladly respond to you for the reasons that I mentioned and the reasons that I will mention also in the G podcast. So if you're going to talk about this video, talk about what I'm going to say in the G podcast later on too, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, there's all kinds of different shapes and forms and sizes of slavery. Okay, whatever you obey will become your master. That's true in Christianity. That's true in any of these other religious beliefs. That's true for pretty much anything. That's something that's dominating your life and you just can't walk away from it. Some of you are slaves to drugs and alcohol. So some of you are slaves to women and sex. Some of you are slaves to just a bunch of different things. We all have our vices. But at the end of the day, we can't be walking around here saying that slavery don't exist no more because we as a people decided that slavery was wrong. No, we just got smarter and more sophisticated about how we do it. If you don't agree with me, make a video response. Read your Bible and do what it says. God bless.